practice, what are we at, 8? I think we're at 8. A lot of energy out there tonight, a lot of competition. So I think for a good 2 hours and 45 minutes or close to it. But what I like is it became more competitive and there became more energy as the practice went on. So that means that these guys are excited about being out there, excited about playing. Obviously, lots of good things happened, a lot of bad things happened, all three sides of the ball. But that's what camp's all about, playing a lot of bodies. We're not trying to narrow things down at this point, so lots of bodies in there, which means a lot of mistakes. And just throughout the process of camp, we will evaluate the film tonight as coaches, and then come in here and do a whole bunch of teaching tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon before we get in practice number 9 and 10. It'll be our second 2-a-day tomorrow, so looking forward to that. With that, take some specific questions.
What do you know about this team now that you didn't when you talked to us earlier this week?
Yeah, that was 2 days ago.
Sure.
It takes a long. You get to a point where camp is 3 weeks, so you try to figure out a lot about your team within 3 weeks, and then at that point you get tired of practicing against each other, and you really can't tell anything until you play that first game. And then once you play that first game, it's all about how much improvement you make from game 1 to game 2 to game 3 before you can really figure out what your team's all about. So, like I said, the only thing I can say is there's a whole bunch of energy out there, a lot of guys that enjoy playing football. There's a lot of energy. Does that mean that we're going to be any good and capable of winning games? That doesn't mean that, but we have a bunch of guys with the right attitude that want to play, which means we should get better throughout the course of the game.
Do you see this new defense in action? Are there any noticeable differences between this and the 3-3-5?
Yeah, there's quite a bit. We still have 3 down linemen, so but as far as the specific gaps and blitzes and coverages, there's all kinds of differences. If we decided to go to a 4 down front with 4 D linemen, there's still going to be different blitzes and coverages and fronts and twists and all that. It's completely different. It'll look different. The stack was a good defense. The 3-4 is a good defense. The 4-3 is a good defense. It's about having a bunch of guys that know what their assignment is and what their technique is and play hard, play with effort and all that.
Are there any cases where a guy's a better fit for the 3-3-5 versus it?
I don't know, to be honest with you. You come up with something you believe in and you do it. From a schematic standpoint, you have reasons for doing it, and then ultimately it's about getting guys in position to where they can be successful and make plays. So we've moved guys around. The next depth chart that you guys see is it's not gonna resemble what the first depth chart was. So we're still trying to plug people in to fit what we're asking them to do.
I know it's early yet. You want to see improvement across the board, but are there any areas you're starting to feel a little more comfortable in, and any areas that you still want to see some serious?
Yeah, you talking about specific side of the ball, or just in general?
In general.
O-line, we didn't know how, you knew what you were getting with Madsen, Braun, Jenkins. Those guys have played a lot of football around here and solidified the inside. From, Pat Edgar had his problems last year, but as a returning starter, is playing better. We have the ability to move him down to guard as well. Curtis Fights looks like a different guy. We would feel much more comfortable putting him in. Spain looks like a different guy. Would feel much more comfortable putting him in. So we feel really good about them. We're trying to find one more guard, and that may be moving guys around. I don't know, but we've identified some guys with some depth. We're still trying to find a few more. And then from there it's I don't know. Obviously we got a couple of receivers can play, but we need 5 more. Don't know who those are going to be. Feel good about the O-line. Those guys are playing well right now.
Can you address the linebacker situation? You talked about the depth chart. I imagine that's one area where you're going to move some people around. Just where you see it at right now, where it might evolve to.
Well, you got 3 returning starters, and Barber, Rigg, and Snow. At some point, they played a lot last year. And obviously, Najee Good was the guy that held that together. Finding finding a guy that can replace him from a leadership standpoint, toughness standpoint, playmaking ability standpoint. We haven't found that yet, but you got 3 guys with returning starting experience right there, and then we've moved Shaq Petaway in there and Isaiah Brewster in there, so you got 2 other guys that are really athletic that just don't have a whole lot of experience. So we're rolling a lot of bodies in there. We're trying to find the appropriate 2 people, but you haven't found that out yet, you know, because those young guys are pretty talented. But you know, we'll find out who the guys are that are going to play the majority of the snaps throughout camp.
Dana, the energy and things like that, you've mentioned that a whole bunch, and I'm certain you talked about that, but at a certain time, they have to do it too. Where does that come from with this infusion of energy from really start to finish?
Well, we coach it. I mean, that's what they pay us to do, is
Right.
to coach it. If that's something we believe in, we've talked a lot about body language. We've talked a lot about confidence. We've talked a lot about effort, energy, excitement, you know, a lot of that stuff. I truly believe you can coach that stuff just like you can coach where to line up on a specific play. So ultimately the guys have got to buy into it, and they've got to feel good about it, and they've got to want to do it. But we coach it, we steer them in the right direction, and then they got to feel good about doing it. Saw a lot of that out there tonight.
Jake was out yesterday, talked about putting quarterbacks in bad situations and what you guys are doing offensively to really kind of test them. You talked about the importance of doing that and making sure you put them in those situations now so they have the experience later.
Yeah, critical situations like 3rd downs and score zone stuff. You know, not just quarterbacks, but the whole team. I mean, there's when we go against our defense, we put them in 3rd down situations, and there's going to be a winner and a loser. And then today we worked score zone to where we put the ball down and we played live ball for the last 20-some snaps. You know, where there's going to be a winner and a loser. So, and you know, so we try to put them in those situations, but I'm not a fan of make-believe situations where you just put the ball down and you give them a specific thing without an outcome. You know, so you try to emulate that as much as you can, which is just put the ball down and play football. And with that, situations come up. So it's all part of the process of taking reps and getting it on film and coming in here and just looking at it and learning from it.
How'd those last 20 snaps go?
It's fun. Here's one thing as a head coach that gets me kind of fired up is we put the ball down and play it and we score, and then the offense runs in the end zone and they have a good time. And then the next time we put it down, we play it, we throw an interception in the end zone, and the defense is in the end zone, hooping and hollering and having a good time. So there's some of that going back and forth, which anytime, if it's just 100% completely one-sided, then we're not going to be as good. But if there's competition and it goes back and forth, then you got a chance to be successful.
Dana, what are the 2 or 3 things that you come into camp that you feel you have to have accomplished by the first game? I mean, that things that you have to solve, or
That's a tough question.
sorry.
I mean, if I'm looking at our team right here, I look over here and we got the offense, and there's a whole bunch of things we got to do offensively, from returning starters to freshmen. If you look over here defensively, you got a whole bunch of things. So I mean, if you put it at 3, then you're leaving out 97 of them. So there's a whole bunch of things, and obviously we don't have like charts with check marks and all that stuff, because things may not. There's specific things on this team that may not get accomplished until game 9 or 10. So it's just a process of trying to get better each day, and trying to make each other better each day on all 3 sides of the ball.
How are you doing health-wise?
Pretty good. Nobody's out. Got a couple guys in red. You guys saw them out there, but again, unless I say otherwise, then they're just day-to-day guys.
Garrison White today, difference from where he was before, taking hits. How's he responded to that?
Yeah, he didn't want to be in the green. We just figured we'd give him a couple of days just to kind of back off him a little bit. He'd been campaigning for White since day 1, so he's working through it. That's always it's always a work in progress. So he's working through it.
Did as a pass,
Especially for a running back, you got to make those cuts.
as a passing guy and you watch the defense, you see KJ Dillon. What goes through your mind as a coach?
Excitement when he gets 2 interceptions in team, which he did today. So, is that what you want to hear?
Your face says no, I guess. Big, fast, tall guy. I mean, he seems like a guy in the back who could cause a lot of problems for offense.
I mean, he's going to play. You know, his job's to try to push for a starting job. Carl Joseph is a guy that is always around the ball, so he's a freshman. We don't tell those guys they're freshmen. We tell them that they're no different than what Darwin Cook is, or some of the seniors out there. So he's doing a good job. He's learning. He's young. He's going to make mistakes, but he's a physical guy that can run fast. Carl Joseph's a guy that's always around the ball. We've got 2 young safeties we feel good about.
And how do you coach rule changes? Is it classroom? Do you show them examples, then forward in on the field? What's the process of that?
We sit here and talk to them about it. We had one of the Big 12 referees come in and explained it. So the guys ask questions, and they hear it from the referees. And we try to practice it as much as we can. Obviously, the kickoff rule is different, so when we're out there, we practiced it and we told them what the rules were. And the helmet rule's new, and throughout the course of a play, if somebody's helmet comes off, we take them off the field. So we try to emulate those situations.
Do you like that rule though, that a guy whose helmet comes off basically can't? I mean, how do you coach him to stop?
I ignore referees. I ignore rules. We teach them. It's the way we can.
I mean, that seems tough to
them.
coach. To tell a guy to stop participating.
With Joey's helmet comes off because he's in the trenches and everything. So Joey's saying he's the first game he's going to put duct tape all back up and down his chin and his helmet. Nike will probably be mad or whoever's making it.
When you guys have been in team, has there ever been a situation where you've been down in the score zone and a guy's helmet has come off and he's had to come out? I mean, how have you responded to that in practice?
It's happened. I don't remember it happening in practice, but it's happened. Last year against South Florida, it happened where Joey's helmet came off. We scored, and his helmet came off. But the rule is if they throw a flag on it, then he puts his helmet back on, he buckles it up, we lose the penalty, and he can stay in the game. So if it's a result of a penalty, then he can stay in the game. So we've covered all that, and we're doing our best to practice it.
How much you said put them out there for 20 plays, see what they can do. Are you at the stage where you can do that for an hour and a half, run 80 or 90 plays on both sides of the ball, or do you care whether they're ready on both sides of the ball?
Well, we could do it, but we're not gonna. There's a whole bunch of drill work and stuff that we need to address. Drill work, inside drill, 7-on-7, pass rush, 1-on-1s, all that stuff. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we need to practice. And if you just put the ball down and play all day, you're gonna get a bunch of people hurt. So we try to keep that small little segments. And it's just the way we're gonna do it. Randall wins the first game on the first. That's what we're shooting for. Well, I don't like scrimmages. I don't like to put the ball down and have a 120 play scrimmage. We expect them to go out there and play hard every day, and we'll have short little mini scrimmages throughout the course of camp. I think that's better overall for your health of your football game.
Dan, in the last year you had Stedman and Tavon were, as you guys called them, like as-can-go guys that kind of pulled themselves out of the game. Do you anticipate anybody else getting that kind of a title this year?
No, I don't. I think the other positions right now need to be too deep.
How much more do you expect out of freshmen that enrolled early compared to freshmen coming in now?
That helps a little bit. And, like Carl Joseph's ahead of some of the other younger guys in the secondary just because he was here. Jordan Thompson's ahead of some of the receivers because he was here. So it definitely helps. Can those other guys catch them? We got 21 more practices to see if they can or not.
Danny, you signed your contract yesterday. Did you treat yourself to anything?
Yeah, a bunch of film last night. Stayed up here till 11 o'clock, and we had some fine dining in the back. Then we went to the film room, and we sat there and we tried to do better. I think I mentioned it yesterday. You guys make a big deal about it if you want to, but it's not going to change what I do on a day-to-day basis.
Any update on the status of Bernie?
Coach, there's been like so many points made about like if you had a complete offseason to instill your offense, you were able to do so much with even like a partial offense last year, a partial offseason. Have you felt the difference this year with the complete offseason that you're able to instill anything any different?
Not from an installation standpoint, from a understanding standpoint, yeah. But not. I mean, we're not going to just because we understand it a little bit better. We're not going to put in, a whole bunch more offense. I mean, it gets to a point where it doesn't matter. You're not going to be good at anything unless you narrow down what you try to accomplish. So we're not going to put in a bunch of NFL offenses or anything. All right, guys, appreciate it.